Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. As usual. Look, folks, let me tell you, it is high time that we don't fall for the con anymore. And you know what? We have continued to do that over and over again, falling for the con. We're not going to fall for the con. While our mainstream media can, while others can, we must, what is the word that it's famous for us to use these days? We must resist. And why must we resist? Because, folks, it is important. It is so important that we don't allow all that's going on right now to modify what we think, to modify what we know, to modify what has to be. That is so very, very important, folks. And I want you to listen. But before you get started, you know what I'm going to ask each one of you immediately. And that is, folks, we ask you to go ahead and start sharing our programs right away. Please go ahead and make sure to go to share us on your walls, share us on your Facebook pages, walls, pages, Instagram, Twitter, everything. That's the only way we are going to get the progressive message out. Because again, nobody's doing us any favors. We don't fall into the right frame for folks to do us any favors as far as getting our message out. So if you're just tuning in right now, and a lot of people are just starting to flesh in now, please go ahead, share this program on your page right away. We have to talk about the con job and how the con job plays into the 2018 election. We have got to do that. We have got to move on these particular issues, my friends. We have got to get there. So what are we up to today? What are we up to now? Look, I know it's kind of, sometimes you sit back and you think, there we go again. Why do we need to talk about this again? Why do we need to do this again? Folks, it is very, very simple. It is very simple why we have to do this again and again and again. And that's because that is how the right works. They are relentless. They never stop. They continue with the buffoonery. They continue with the attacks. They continue to break people down. And that is what we have to fight against. So if you're just joining us, and we're going to get into the show in a little bit, if you're just joining us, please go ahead right now and share the program. Hi, Yolanda Neely. Hi, Matthew Thielman. And I'm expecting the others to come in, many more to come in shortly. And as far as Blog Talk Radio, folks, if you're on Blog Talk Radio, that doesn't stop you from tweeting either the show on Blog Talk Radio or tweeting the show on whatever other network you're on. The Pacifica Network is carrying this. Quite a few other networks are going to be carrying this program. So, folks, what are we going to talk about today? It's going to be a very interesting show. Welcome aboard, Ann Pisasa, Pam Decker, Ruth, welcome aboard. Thank you for showing up. All right, we're going to get busy. Ann Piazza, I got that name wrong. Ann Piazza, welcome aboard. Okay, folks, look, the subject today is titled, Con Man Trump Continues to Mark Time for Republicans, and His Con May Work. I sat down trying to figure out what we're going to talk about today, and there are a lot of things that that we really need to talk about. A lot of things that we need to talk. Mike Cisak, welcome aboard. A lot of things that we need to talk about. But the things that everybody's watching on TV right now is about Kim Jong-un and the con man on TV. That's what they're seeing. All the stations, I have the CNN big screen on right now. That's what I can see right now. All they're doing on a reel, showing them walking together, showing them shaking hands, all that good stuff. We're covered in that kind of a stories. And you know how many other issues are occurring right now. You know how many other things are affecting your personal economy. For those of you who have never listened to us before, please, I ask thee to go ahead and share us on your wall right now, on your page right now on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Instagram, on Smashwords, everywhere. Go ahead and share this program. We have to keep our people enlightened. We have to keep progressives and independents and right-thinking Republicans up to speed on what's going on in this country. So the title of the show today, Conman Trump continues to mark time for Republicans, and his con may actually work. Subtitle, you know I had to have a subtitle for this one. The only things that can save the GOP in 2018 or either a continual distraction from the con man or a derelict Democratic Party establishment. And then I have another sentence I added to the end of that title. And it was simple. It simply said, they have both. And yes, sir, they have. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'ams. Yes, everybody in the room. Yes, everybody listening on Blog Talk Radio. Yes, everybody living Coffee Party Network. Yes, they've got it, baby. They've got it. And that is what we have to mitigate. Anyway, Donald Trump may be right when he said that he does not believe the losses in November will be all that bad for the Republican Party. Trump recruited the mainstream media from the inception of his campaign. The exchange was a continual distraction that gets them a lot of eyeballs and with that, a lot of money. In the process, the mainstream media forgot completely about reporting in a robust manner the decimation of the country through policies or lack thereof. Folks, this is some serious stuff, okay? And there are a whole lot of folks that are complicit in this serious stuff. But not all. But that is not all. If it is as if the Democratic Party establishment, and notice I said as if the Democratic Party establishment, I didn't say the individuals within the Democratic Party. I didn't say individual activists that are out there busting their butts trying to get people to vote. I'm talking about the establishment, the plutocrats within the Democratic Party. I'm talking about the neoliberals within the Democratic Party. I'm talking about those who are spending money with other consultants, those who are spending money with they're transferring all the gifts that you send to them to these high-priced $10,000 consultant, while they're giving peanuts, if anything, to volunteers that are roaming in different neighborhoods trying to attract people to vote or trying to tell them why it is important for them to vote. You want people to vote? You talk to them. You touch them. You make them know you care about them. Is that what any of these parties are really doing? Actually, the Republican Party does that very well. I can tell you that I live in Kingwood, Texas, a very conservative Republican area. And I tell you what, they are wined and dined and they don't have a problem giving money. Let me tell you something, folks. If you look at one of the women, I brought on a couple from Kingwood, and I'm going to the show, folks, but I got to tell some of these stories. I brought on a couple from Kingwood, nice folk, 2 Republicans from Kingwood. And they came on to my Politics Done Right show at KPFT. And we were in fund drive at KPFT, and she took out her checkbook, and she said, you know, folks, I am a Republican, but I like what Egberto has to say. And she went ahead and she gave $100 to the show in my name. Good, great and fine. But then she said to me, before the show, she looked at me and said, Egberto, I didn't have such a good fundraising day today. And she's just a woman here who lives in Kingwood, and she says, I only collected $5,000 today. And, you know, my hair, the hair that I don't have on the top of my head just stood up. Are you serious? You raised $5,000 in Kingwood in one afternoon, and you're not happy. And here we are, progressive programs, progressive rags, progressive all these other things. We're trying to reach people over the networks. We're trying to reach people over the air. We're trying to walk and, folks burn their gas to get people to vote, etc., 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 etc. And where the hell is the Democratic Party saying, let's go ahead and help these grassroots folks to get the job done? I bet consultants don't have a problem getting any money from the Democratic Party. I bet consultants don't have a problem telling them who they should target, which is generally wrong. Because, again, results matter. Results matter. And you look and you see the success of the Republicans with a terrible message, Republicans with a terrible record. But somehow they can reach enough people so that they can take over all or the vast majority of the states in this country. And then we say, oh, but they gerrymander. They could only gerrymander if they won. They could only gerrymander the states if they won the elections in the first place. And that is what they did. They won. And you know how they won? They touched people. They made people believe they cared about them. We know they don't care about them, but they made them believe that. We do care. Progressives do care. So why aren't we getting the support necessary to go out there and do the job? So those people who sometimes tell me, oh, you're very hard on the party. That is why I'm hard on the party. Because I see consultants who get a hell of a lot of money, the money that all of you guys donate to the parties, instead of donating to the Daily Koses or the Politics Done Right or the and I'm not saying instead of, but you can do both. Instead of all these other networks that are out there really doing the fight, really promoting, really trying to get folks engaged and voting, then we have these plutocrats running these institutions that actually go out there and claim they're consultants and do it all wrong. They don't know these communities. They don't know the Democratic base. I can go to anybody in Indivisible and say, hey, what does the Democratic base look like? And they can tell you. I can go anybody in Swing Left and they can tell you what the Democratic base look like. I can tell you a whole lot of these folks. I can tell you what the Democratic base look like and who they should be going out for. But do they? No. Why not? Because they're paying high-priced consultants who have nothing in common, absolutely nothing in common with the rank and file, absolutely nothing in common with the community. You want to know why we lose? That's the reason we lose. You want to win? You start touching and enabling those who have the platform in these different areas to go out and get the job done. Fund to get the job done. And since I brought that up, I'm going to go ahead and self my thing right now and tell you folks it is very important. Politics Done Right so need your support. Patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Patreon.com/Politics Done Right. That is how we do it. We don't ask you to do what we don't do ourselves. We support dailycoast.com. We support coffeepartyusa.com. We support opednews.com. We support kpft.org, progressive radio station, part of the Pacifica Network. We have to, folks, we have to get all these institutions supported if we are really to win. We must get them all supported if we are to get them to win. So please go ahead and go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Now, let me tell you a quick thing from the news feed, and then we go into the blog of the week. The Independent reports this, and the reason I brought that is this was a terrible week, or last week was a terrible week where there were just 2 major suicides that we heard about. And of course, we know that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of suicides that occur all year that we don't hear about. But anyhow, the Independent reported this. It said the following, and stick with me. We're going to the blog of the week next. The deaths of designer Kate Spade and chef Anthony Bourdain, both of whom committed suicide in the last week, were not simply pop culture tragedies. They were the latest markers of an intractable public health crisis that has been unfolding in slow motion for a generation. Treatment for chronic depression and anxiety, often precursors to suicide, has never been more available and more widespread. Yet, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, this week reported a steady, stubborn rise in America's national suicide rate, up 25% since 1999. That is a hell of a lot of percentage since 1999. But here's the kicker. The rates have been climbing each year across most age and ethnic groups. Suicide is now the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Nearly 45,000 Americans killed themselves in 2016, twice the number who died by homicide. The rise in suicide rates has coincided over the past 2 decades with, guess what? A vast increase in the number of Americans given a diagnosis of depression or anxiety and treated with medication. Maybe that needs some study. The number of people taking an open-ended prescription for an antidepressant is at historic highs. More than 15 million Americans have been on drugs for more than 5 years, a rate that has more than tripled since 2000. But if treatment is so helpful, one must ask the question, why has its expansion halted or reversed suicide trends? Well, it didn't halt it. It didn't slow it down. What happened is more people are killing themselves. So, remember what we always talk about: drugs, drug pushers. We're always talking about legal drug pushers, the pharmaceuticals. If this had happened in other industries, they would be all testing it. Marijuana, they don't even want you to touch marijuana. We don't know if people committing suicide from smoking dope. But we sure do know taking those narcotics and those other very deep depressive drugs seem like it hasn't been all that helpful. But anyhow, folks, right now we're going to get into the meat of the show. And it goes as follows. Do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
All right, folks, here's the deal. The title of the blog post. I gave it an interesting title. Listen to this one. The con man got conned and conned his constituents one more time. And I'll repeat it one more time. The con man got conned and conned his constituents one more time. Folks, if you're just joining us, we're about to go into the blog of the week, and we ask you to share this program, share this show on your wall. For those of you who are just coming, share this program on your Instagram, share this program on your network, share this program on your Facebook wall, Facebook page, Twitter, everything else. That is how we get the progressive message out. Okay, now, here we go. The media was enamored with America's most recent and effective con man, even as they all knew the impossibility of a successful summit with Kim Jong-un. The media clearly knew that the Donald Trump-Kim Jong-un summit was a sham. It had to be a sham. I mean, all these other governments had been working endlessly. And we believe some real estate guy who has conned his way all through life was going to come out and con Kim Jong-un. We have to remember, even when Trump was in business, his cons weren't all that good, that so many people fell for them. It's interesting, right? But then again, we don't know that all his monies came from those cons we know about. There are many rumors out there that the monies came from the real con, and he wasn't the great perpetrator of the con. In fact, he was just the one used. Think money laundering, maybe? But anyhow, we won't go there because we don't have the proof, and politics done right. Just stick to the facts. Okay, America's con man Donald Trump got conned in Singapore, but unfortunately, in the process, the president duped Americans. CNN reported the following in an article titled, "Kim had a great summit, and he didn't even need to give anything away." And that said it all. Kim had a great summit, and he didn't even need to give anything away. And here it goes. So here's what they said. Kim Jong-un couldn't have scripted his Singapore sojourn any better himself. As he toured the streets on a nighttime walkabout and posed for selfies with the Singaporean foreign minister, he was treated more like a rock star than a pariah autocrat. He may be the leader of a country with one of the worst human rights records in the world, but Kim was granted a friendly audience with Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, who had forked out $15 million to keep him accommodated in a luxury hotel and protected by dozens of security officers. As his motorcade swept through the streets, excited Singaporeans even held up smartphones to capture the moment on social media. But the real reward was 5 hours with U.S. President Trump on Tuesday when the two leaders signed a document that essentially reiterated promises North Korea had already made. They had already made those promises. And extracted no new or concrete concessions to demonstrate Pyongyang was committed to denuclearization, and further spoke of security assurances the dictator had long sought from the United States. The only thing that Kim has done is suspend testing of weapons. That's not giving them away, said Bruce Betchell, a professor of political science at Angelo State University, who has authored several books on North Korea. There was certainly nothing in the vague final statement that might result in potential blowback from his cadre of loyalists watching his every move from Pyongyang. All right, folks. So we continue. That's a little snippet of the CNN article. I wanted to put that out because CNN did the job. They at least said it. We have a lot of people spinning it otherwise. Oh, well, at least he's talking. Well, I'll tell you in the rest of the blog. Here's the deal. Trump got conned. He ratcheted up fiery rhetoric against Kim Jong-un before and during his presidency. Jong-un showed the world that they had nuclear capabilities. Trump knew he had no option, so he started to become more friendly with the North Korean dictator. Listen, don't let anybody fool you. You know, we can say we have the biggest, most powerful military in the world, but we cannot go to war with North Korea without destroying the world's economy. Why is that? You know, folks, when they talk about globalism and all that good stuff, and when they talk about in-time inventory and all of that stuff, I'm getting off the topic a little bit, but one of the things I want my listeners to get is not only to hear the subject of the day, but to understand how the world works. Let me tell you why that would destroy the economy. We have something in the United States and around the world now where it's sort of in-time inventory, right? In other words, nobody store a whole lot of stuff that can last them for 6 months so that they can keep building. What they have are these ships that are coming into the different countries all of the times. As all these ships come into these different countries, they unload just in time for when that product is needed. And the same applies to Korea, who's a big manufacturing base, Japan, big manufacturing base, Germany, big manufacturing base. All these countries are shipping to the United States and to factories all over the world. And you get one disruption and cataclysm happens. Why? Because everybody is dependent on the other. So don't let Trump fool you as if he's some crazy that was going to blow a hole into North Korea if North Korea just didn't abide. So what did he have to do after having all this fiery stuff that he's going to do? And after talking about Iran, he's going to tear up the contract, the treaty with Iran, which he pretty much did. So he had to come up with something to say, oh, I'm a leader and I'm a negotiator and I can do X, Y, Z. But we all know the guy's dumb. He's intellectually deficient. So what was he going to do? He get a whole bunch of, only a few other intellectually deficient people would want to work for or with him. Mostly with him, right? Or for him. Not a lot of folks want to get into that job. So it's not like he had a cadre of intellect to work out a deal with Kim Jong-un. So what he got was exactly what he bargained for. And that is he got had. He had a Kim Jong-un who took him to the cleaners. And all Kim did If you take a look at all those pictures as they roam the field, as they roam that expensive hotel, is you see Kim with a smirk on his face and just trying to be falsely deferent to, what's the word? Falsely in tune with Donald Trump. But he knew what he was doing. He knew he conned the president. So let's continue. So again, we are not going to war with, we were never going to go to war with North Korea. The plutocracy would not have allowed it because it would have been too disruptive to the world economy. And there's nothing more that worries the plutocracy about its green more than anything else. We can kill people. We can have health insurance that kill people. We can have the lack of health insurance. We can have people dying in the streets as long as it doesn't affect the commerce. Hey, it's okay. That's your plutocracy. That's what you vote for every year. And that's what we hope as progressive to enlighten folks as far as how things work and what not to do and how we get things done better. So, how did King Jamam con Trump? His nuclear testing was mostly over. He proved they perfected both a fission and a fusion nuclear bomb. Fusion nuclear bomb is what they call a hydrogen bomb. Fission is where you split the atom. Fusion is where you put the atom together. Usually use light atoms like hydrogen. You stick them together. You get H2 or one of these things, and you release a hell of a lot more energy than you do when you split the atom. And that's what they did. Generally speaking, you have to have an atomic bomb, a fission bomb that starts the reaction for the fusion bomb. But anyhow, so they have already perfected these items. They've already tested the fusion bomb. They've already tested the fission bomb. They've already tested ballistic missiles. So after Trump said he was going to get them, they made sure and sped up what they were going to do. They did it, and then they played nice. And then Trump said, hey, I got my chance, Hey, I've been doing a lot of talking now. I better do something about it. So for American promising his security. So did Kim Jong-un, how did Kim Jong-un con Trump? His nuclear testing was mostly over. He proved they perfected both the fission and fusion nuclear bomb. So far, American promising his security. So for America promising his security, he will stop what is already too expensive for him to continue testing more nuclear weapons that he knows he's already capable of building. So he gave away nothing. Nada niet. He didn't have to. Why? He knew he could build a bomb. He knew everybody knows he has about 60 bombs stored away somewhere. They mess with him, he can start World War III, so they won't mess with him. But if he goes ahead and make a real deal with Trump or anybody else, remember a guy named Gaddafi, what happened when he gave up his nukes? Every dictator who is building nukes know that story, and they'll never give it up. So what is worse is that Trump even gave Jong-un additional gifts he did not ask for at all. According to CNN, here it goes. While the White House, or while the U.S. president qualified that a troop withdrawal was not part of the equation right now, he made it clear that it could be in the future. And to the apparent surprise, hear this, to the surprise of South Korea, Trump promised to halt what he called the war games, joint military exercises with South Korea, the North Korea has long regarded as a provocation. They were expensive, inappropriate, and provocative, Donald Trump said. To Korea watchers, the commitment to suspend these regular training drills would raise questions about the continued presence of U.S. forces in the region. If we have a force of 28,500 military personnel that does not conduct training, then we may as well bring them home. And this is what I fear from President Trump's comments that war games cost a lot of money and South Korea does not pay sufficient funds, said David Maxwell, a retired U.S. Army Special Forces colonel and a fellow at the Institute of Korean American Studies. A force that does not train is of no value to deterrence and no value to war fighting and does a disservice to those military personnel and our national security. Wait a minute. Wasn't Republicans a national security party one time? Then these guys really believed that you had to be really some tough guys and well, we're talking about Trump, I guess. So look, folks, Many balked that Donald Trump did not bring up human rights. But I'll be honest, that was the least of my concerns, since America has its own human rights problems for violence the state inflicts on people of color. As such, our country is in no position to castigate any country on human rights. None. And I say that clearly. We like to look at other countries' human rights and make that a big issue whenever we're negotiating anything. Oh, how is their human rights? They kill people or they do. Look, in America, we kill black men and Latinos and all of that all the time by cops, and the majority population exonerate them all of the time. Talking about human rights, we don't only have human rights problems from the state. We have human rights problem from the state that the citizens actually say, hey, it's okay. So let's not ever, or you won't hear on my show, at least, us castigating other countries on human rights. When we have human rights problems, we just do it in an antiseptic kind of a way. It makes the news a few days, and then it goes off thereafter. So don't ever talk about human rights to me on international relations at all. Let's talk what matters. What matters really is our economic, our military survival as a country, etc., etc., etc. Now, continuing, my dear friends, and folks, if you're just coming in, please remember to share this program on your Twitter, on your Tumblr, on your Facebook page, on your Facebook wall, if you want to really get this progressive message out so that people will be educated, so that people would know what's going on in the world. We got to do that, folks. We have really got to do that. So, barring all that human rights issue, which, like I said, I really don't care within the negotiations, here is what I continue with. Donald Trump threw away a nuclear agreement with Iran that had concrete steps. The only reason he threw it away is because it had the name Obama on it, because Obama's people negotiated it after years and years of negotiation. So this guy would put America's safety in danger because he doesn't like Obama. Wow. Talking about an intellectual guy, eh? His singular international agreement has one that no fixed targets, no positions, no milestones, nothing. Yet, it's not an agreement worth the paper it's written on. We still have a few people in the news that are saying, in fact, some of them that I respected, oh well, at least he's talking. You know, we continue to give this guy kudos that are undeserved. If you start a fire and then put it out, do you get credit for being a hero in putting out the fire you started? No, you don't. No, you don't. Donald Trump accelerated what occurred in North Korea. Donald Trump could have done a whole lot more in between. He didn't. He started the fire, and then he goes out to calm the fire, and now some, not all, or very few, but some, substantial enough, are trying to give him marginal credit for at least keeping the talking doors open with North Korea. I say good that he kept the talking doors open to North Korea. He had no choice. He had no choice. For those who think Donald Trump is crazy and would have just started a war, before he got a chance to start a war, the plutocracy would have gotten to him and said, boy, let me tell you something. You ain't starting no war in the Koreas. You're not going to start a war in the Koreas because that channel is just too important for us. You want to start a war? Go to some part of Africa that we don't import something from. Go to some part of the Middle East where we can cause oil prices to go up so that the oil so that we can start exploiting the shale oil here in the United States at a better profit. Because we have a glut of oil, you know. Remember, we're supposed to reach peak oil a long time ago. We have a glut of oil. Why we have a glut of oil is because, you know, we found oil in all kinds of forms. And because carbon is pretty much abundant, right? And all of this is decayed animals and all that kind of decayed microbes, all that kind. I mean, it's all over the place. So they don't mind a little bit of conflict in certain parts of the Middle East as long as it doesn't too much affect the flow. Because if it affects the flow enough, it's better for the oil companies because the prices of oil goes up. They make more profit. They make more money. So you want to start a war? Just start in a war in a non-economic zone or in a zone where the commodity being traded needs a price hike. We're talking economics 101 along with tyranny, folks. And that's what we have, a tyrannical plutocracy who knows economics 101. It's funny, isn't it? But that is what we have. We have, again, a tyrannical plutocracy who very much understands economics 101. All right. Now, long ago, along with the mainstream media, Trump distracted Americans entirely away from issues that matter to their health and their personal economies to something that was nothing but a charade. So we're not talking healthcare. Your bill in healthcare, as I've told everybody every other show or so, is going to skyrocket if you're in the individual market. If you're working for an employer, it may not skyrocket immediately, but you know what it means? It means your raise is going to be that much smaller, if not non-existent, because, again, the plutocracy will be paid. Who is the plutocracy? All those masters of finance up on top in our finance chain here, folks. The ones who own the majority stocks in all these corporations. The ones who run these corporations with stock extensions and all these things. Folks, that is why these rates go up year after year. Inflation hasn't been high. Inflation has been tiny, 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 tiny. But drug companies want growth. They want double-digit growth. To get double-digit growth, they have to get the money from somewhere to show their shareholders double-digit growth. And you know where that money comes from? You! You're the sucker. And there are no laws protecting you. And Donald Trump even made it worse because he's taking away all the regulations that used to protect you. Folks, we have to get educated and understand that we are being had. And we're not only being had by those right-wing Republicans or the plutocrats, because the plutocrats own both parties, okay? Now, one party decides that it does things a little bit nicer to people. The other one goes ahead and it just screws you out right. And all the time, they lie to you. I'm not asking this stuff. This is facts. If you want background on all this stuff, we have it on all the blogs that we've ever written for a long, 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 long time on egbertowillies.com. So you should visit egbertowillies.com and just, do a scan, do a search on plutocracy, Egberto Willies, and you'll find all these different scams that go on. Why is it that you work so hard every day and you could be taxed from anywhere from up to 20, 30 something % on your income tax. But man, if you go ahead and you just own some stocks on and you get money from the appreciation of your stock, forget that. You're going to only pay a maximum of 20% or 25%. I don't remember what the rate is right now, but little compared to the working man. Who made those laws again? The plutocracy, the titans of commerce who told the politicians what to do. And guess what? And then they told you, please vote for them, and you did. We're here to tell you who are the politicians that won't allow that to continue, and who do we humbly suggest that you consider. Because, folks, we continue to be screwed over and over and over again. So then, Donald Trump may be right when he said that he does not believe the losses for Republicans in November will be all that bad for the Republican Party. Trump recruited the mainstream media from the inception of his campaign to present to the present, and it's paying off dearly. It's paid off for the brother. It's paid off for the brother. The media continues to play like they hate him, but brothers and sisters, they love him because they've completely alienated themselves from substance onto becoming a Trumpian entity. Folks, please, 646-716-5812. We're almost done with the blog of the week. I think I've got one more paragraph to read. Unfortunately, and this is how I end, and I'm serious about this, and a lot of rank-and-file Democrats get mad that I've been hitting the party over and over again, and I'll continue to do so until we start to see that we really want to win. In other words, I wrote an article for Daily Kos a few weeks ago called Democrats don't need to fear progressives. Progressives represent the platform of the Democratic Party. The people they need to fear is the neoliberal that are still leading the party. And what they need to do is rank and file Democrats that are good people. Just enthralled into believing that these guys really are looking out for them is for them to take over their party. Just like I've always told good Republicans, my good Republican friends, look, folks, it's time for you to take over your party. It's the same thing I tell my good Democratic friends, it's time for you to take over your party. You can't allow these plutocrat leading leaders to come into your domain and control it. You cannot. Otherwise, you get what we're getting. A lot of people don't see the suffering of Americans. Americans are suffering in silence. Let me tell you, if you're watching this program right now, and you take a look at your checkbook, right? A lot of folks are going to maybe watch this program. They're home, they're sitting down, they're watching Politics Done Right, and they're hearing us talk about personal economists, all that good stuff. What do? You open your checkbook and you're broke. Not only do you open your checkbook and you're broke, you realize that, oh my God, what do I really have to live for? What am I going to see in the next 10 years? What am I going to see in the next 2 years? How is my life going to be better? And you sit down and you say to yourself, oh my God, I'm in trouble. Well, what can I do? I'm just one person. Folks, this is where I tell you. That's why we have programs like this. We're here to inspire you to realize that you go out there and you stay in the game, that you go out there and you vote, and not only vote, but you get other people to vote. You get other people, and you start to, the things that we learn together here, you let these other people know it as well. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. But you get a chance to make a difference, because you know what? Slowly, you start to win a district. You start to win that city council seat. You start to win that state district seat. You start to win that state senate district seat. You start to win that Ted Poe is. We're gonna have Todd Litton winning Ted Poe's seat. Okay, we're gonna have Todd Litton winning Ted Poe's seat in a district they gerrymandered because of the people who normally vote. Well, guess what's going to happen when we get the constituents of the district to vote? What you think is going to happen then? Then the real people show up. The people that never voted because they thought they had no reason to, they didn't make a difference. It is your job. It is my job. It is our job to let these folks know that, yeah, that guy may be rich in Kingwood, and you may be sitting down there in Humble in a trailer park. Your vote is no different than that other guy. Your vote is no different than other guy. If we can really, really start instilling that into people, and you hear that every election season. Why do I give a hard time to the Democrats? Because we hear that every election season. We don't season people. Politics Done Right is run 5 days a week. And we try to reach all kind of folks. And when I'm done with this program, I'm going to digitize it and I'm going to throw it everywhere. Why am I going to do that? Because I want people to see it and to feel empowered by it, to know that they can make a difference, to know that they don't have to sit their butts down and think, oh, I'm just me. I'm just me. We're all just ourselves. But we can make a difference because, again, it is one person, one vote. Una persona, un voto. Para mi latino que están escuchando ahora mismo, te voy a decir algo. La gente está diciendo ahora mismo que no van a votar. Todd Litton en el distrito número 2. En el distrito número 2, él gana. Si los latinos aquí en el 2 votan, me van a decir que no tienen poder. Me van a decir que no tienen potencia. Folks, let me tell you something. If we go out there and do the job, and this is what the Democratic Party is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be out here in Northeast Texas, Northeast Harris County. Okay? We've been begging them. I had two activist Democrats in this district. They cornered me at one of the events I was taping, and she said, Egberto, you know what? We just went and we had a meeting with the chairman of Harris County. You know what we told her? We told her that don't expect any money out of Spring anymore from us. Don't expect any money out of this part of Kingwood from us. You know why? Because where are you? How much are you going to spend out here? How much are you going to tackle all those hundreds of apartments around here that are potential voters if you nurture them? If you don't just go tell them, hey, come and vote for me. Give them a reason to vote. Tell them why it is in their interest. Just like I'm saying, es en tu interés votar ahora mismo, porque lo que van a hacer es cambiar las leyes para hacer seguro que tu vida es mejor. We are going to make your life better, and this is how. You see what I'm saying, folks? That's what I'm talking about. So my last sentence in the blog, then I'll go read the blogs. Unfortunately, the Democratic Party establishment decided to be complicit in the con man's plan. And you know who the con man is? They have not changed the narrative either on their own or forced the mainstream media to cover things that matter to Americans. Folks, telephone number 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I'd love to hear if anybody wants to talk, but I know most of you prefer to write. So guess what I'm going to do? You are the boss. You run this stuff. If you want to change the subject, you can as well. One thing I do ask you to do, folks, please go ahead and share the program. It is so important that we share these programs because that's the way we're going to empower ourselves. That is the way we're going to get stuff done. That is the way we make a difference. I promise you. You can make a difference. Everybody, I don't care who the hell you are. I don't care who you think or others have made you believe you are. Your vote counts. Your vote counts. And it doesn't only count, it makes a difference, especially in 2018. But man, we have to get you out there to vote. And I don't want you to sit back there and just think, okay, so I vote and things don't happen exactly as I expected it to. Folks, that's not what it's all about. We didn't fall apart as a country where 80% of the people are, there's a number that came out, over 50% of the people are less than a paycheck away from the poorhouse. Think about that. It is so bad. It is really, really bad. People are having a hard time. So, we have to start making a difference ourselves. Welcome, Mike Cisak. Welcome, Anna Piazza. I think I spoke about you before. Bruce Ballard, how you doing, my brother? Sherry Price, welcome aboard. Yolanda Neely, I think I mentioned you before. Okay, we don't have a lot of messages on the... and our resident... where's our resident... I don't see our resident... What should we call him? Our resident researcher didn't show up today. Okay, let's see. Bruce Pollard, who are the folks listening to us? Are they the ones who won the election for Mr. Trump? We need a way to get the votes that could possibly change. How do we do this? Let me tell you what I do, Bruce. I don't only do politics done right and then expect people to watch it. You know, I want the people watching it live because they give me direction. When you guys put questions in there and when you guys ask questions, you further expand the knowledge base, right? Because I am not going to know everything that I need to say, or I'm not going to know everything at all. So therefore, when you guys bring input, those of you that are watching live, we help put that stuff out as well. Now, when this video is done, or when this show is done, it's digitized and it is placed all over, meaning it is placed on in TuneIn, in iTunes, and Player.fm. Both the videos and the MP3s are all over. We spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time processing these videos just to make sure that it goes out in a timely manner to these different outlets all over the place, okay? The videos on YouTube, it doesn't get a lot of traction on YouTube because most of the people listen to it on MP3. I can then monitor my MP3 listens for the ones that come back to the site. For the people who download it and then replay it, I don't have good stuff on that. But let me tell you what has happened. We do have a good conservative listenership. And how do I know? Every so often, and I mean several times a week, I'll get an email that says, hey, I'm a conservative. I hear what you're saying. I disagree with you on this and that. But what you're saying makes sense, and I'm going to do things. And I've gotten many of them that have said, I was a Trump voter. I'm no longer a Trump voter. What else do I do as one person? Bruce, you know me, I'm in Starbucks all of the times, and I entertain conversations there with everybody. One thing I make sure to do is listen, do more listening than talking. I listen to folks and see where they are, and I do a whole lot of question asking. And in having that kind of a dialogue, I'm not saying somebody's going to turn around and say, oh, Egberto, I've seen the light, and I'm now a Democrat. That's not what I'm looking for at all, because that's not how the mind works. what happens then is I've planted seeds. You can plant seeds. Every one of us that are listening here that understand the concepts and know the reality and know the truths, we can plant seeds. We don't have to go bang it into somebody's head. All we have to do is do more listening than talking. Ask them a lot of questions and let them answer the questions themselves. Generally speaking, when they answer the questions themselves, it is the most effective. A lot of times I do that with healthcare. Healthcare is one of those issues that should dominate now, and I do it with healthcare. And I'm coming to the phones right now, and in doing so, folks, you'd be surprised how effective it is. I've gotten emails from people that would make you cry. It'll tell you, oh my God, how could I have done this? I mean, all kind of stuff like that, personal emails. And, you know, you read them, you feel good to know that you're making a difference. And every single one of you that are listening here who share this program, every one of you that are listening here who talk on this program, who tells these things, that's what you're doing, brothers and sisters. That's what you're doing. Okay, come on in, line number 1. Come on in. 832?
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
I didn't prompt, but I didn't push the prompt, but okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Matthew. Well, it doesn't matter. I did it when I called in opposed to Facebook. You talked about the depression medication earlier, and I had an anecdote on that. There's actually some DNA tests you can have done to check your compatibility, because those medicines are pretty wild, as you're well aware.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some family members who are on different antidepressants, and if they took that, they were much happier. Like some pretty unpleasant side effects on the other ones, and when found something that was more compatible with their genetic makeup, it helped.
Okay, good. So you're saying that maybe it is the drugs that are doing it.
I didn't even. Well, I just said like that. It's not really well broadcast. There's there's stuff out there like that out there. So, I thought I'd mention it.
Look, that is so important.
Have DNA tests for all kinds of things.
I am glad you mentioned that, because somebody hear this that is on antidepressants and need a change because it may make them suicidal or whatever. You may have saved a life. Thank you so kindly for calling, my friend.
No problem.
Appreciate it. I'll put your mic on hold. If you want to talk, then just press the 1. And I thought I saw the blue, but you know how it works to the corner of your eyes. Okay, let me continue reading a few more things here. I think Bruce added another comment. He says North Vietnam is another low-cost workforce like Vietnam. Yes, it is. And that's what we have. Let's see. Val the Boy Boyle, welcome aboard. From your mouth to God's ears. We also have Yolanda Neely. Hi. Okay, we didn't have a lot of people write in today. But folks, do remember to go ahead and share these shows. It is so important that other people hear this. You know, you may think, like I was mentioning before, based on the comment that Bruce made, a lot of times people don't know the impact that they're having on people. One thing that you have when you have programs like this, when you do things online, is a lot of times you can have feedback. And that feedback is very, very helpful. I tell you something. Whether you see me, I try my best to go back and like the items that from the show. A lot of times I don't, I don't have the time, and I have to just go through the things real fast. And the reason, but I try to like them if I can remember sometimes. But I want all of you guys to know that are listening, I read comments. In fact, if you've listened to some other shows, you'd see that some shows of mine were a direct result of the comments that you all have left. That is the most important thing to me, interactivity. And the reason interactivity is most important is I absolutely believe in crowdsourcing. The crowd, a thinking crowd. When you have a crowd of thinkers, it always works best than the individual. And I've proven that over and over again. I mean, there are times that I would come up with something, and by the end of the show, 3 or 4 people have answers because, again, we share our minds to get things done. We share our minds to get things on. All right, let me go to one more call. 756, you're on. 765. I'm dyslexic. Oh, okay, yeah. You're on 765.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
I was just going to comment. Since I came back from the UK on a visit,
Yes.
I've been unable to watch American news because it's so sensationalized and it gets you revved up. It's not news. It's like this manic sort of thing that they call.
Manic
So I watch
entertainment.
BBC yeah. So, like yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before, when they were covering Kim Jong-un,
Mm-hmm.
they were almost foaming at the mouth that this could turn out good. We don't know whether, they weren't objectively reporting it. And so I've been unable to watch it since. Just drives me nuts.
What is your name again, sir?
Michael Newton.
Michael, let me tell you something. You're absolutely correct about that. And that is why I have been trying to steer people to outlets that I know that I trust. And again, I always steer them to Daily Kos, which is crowdsourced news as well. We do have staff reporters at dailykos.com. In fact, I am a contributing editor at dailykos.com as well. But, one thing you can know at these sources are wide open and they're not sensational. They just go ahead and they're opinionated, but they don't try to be sensational. We have opednews.com that I also support, that I tell people it's so important to support these networks because of exactly what you're saying. If you're watching cable news, they always have to keep you on a high. And the way Americans are right now, you know how high works, Michael. You start with a low high, and eventually you need a little bit more each time, Anything else you want to add to that, Michael?
Oh, that was it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so kindly for calling in, my friend. Anyhow, folks, we are near the end of the program, and it's the time for my last ask, of course. I want to remind all you folks that this is a progressive show. One of this Politics Done Right progressive show needs your help, so we need you to go ahead and become subscribers. We need hundreds of subscribers, and we're not there yet. We need hundreds of subscribers to stay viable and do the things that we do, meaning going to places where things are happening, going to places where we can make a difference, going to places where we can learn, going to places where we can conference. That is what we need you for. Patreon.com/politics done right. Patreon.com/politics done right. That is how we do it, my dear friends. That is how we need to do it, my dear friends. We need your support. As I mentioned earlier in the program, all these other sources on the right or on the neoliberal middle, they are well funded. We were talking, I don't remember what group I was talking to, and actually it wasn't a group. Tarana Burke from Me Too, I went to the Annie's List, and Tarana Burke spoke about a companion group that is similar to Me Too. That group was able to raise millions of dollars or $1 million or several million, I think it was, rather quickly. She's having issues raising money for her own group, and she's the one who started the Me Too movement. Again, it's because, do you fit the profile? But anyhow, folks, we need your support. We really humbly need you to continue not only listening to the show, promoting the show, sharing the show, and making sure people get a chance to hear some truth beyond what Michael Tierney spoke about, known as the manic news that we have on TV. That's not what we intend to do here. We intend to inform. We intend for you to give us direction as to where we need to go, where you want us to go, based on the ills, based on your pain, based on what's going on in your own personal economy, your own personal health issues. Patreon.com/politics done right. Please go ahead and subscribe to Politics Done Right. Patreon.com/politics done right. I thank you so kindly for spending this time with me. We'll be back tomorrow. Later on in the week, we have a guest. I have to confirm her, but we have a woman, a Muslim wearing a jihad wearing Muslim woman running in for city council right here in a town next to Houston, and that should be a great show as well. Folks, again, patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. Please remember, if we don't have your support, we can't get the message out. If we can't get the message out, we can't win. It is that simple. So thank you so kindly. And you know how I end this, baby. I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.